Well, good morning and welcome to another edition of Litter Media Live, special edition. I'm Dan Ramey and Dray Stewart is with us here. Going to talk about what he does with Draydayvideos. That can be a tongue twister at times, but also talk about some other things he's involved with, including his ministry. So that's just ahead. But first, a word from our friends at Hometown Motors. Cut in total professional comfort. Husqvarna. Available now at Hometown Motors Incorporated. 818 Eastern Avenue, Chillicothe. As we mentioned, we're visiting with Dray Stewart of Draydayvideos. And Dray, thank you for stopping in and joining us, because I know we have talked, I don't know how many times outside of here, and said, we got to get you in to tell your story one of these days. People have seen you out and about. A lot of you've got a contract, I believe, with the Chamber of Commerce. So if there's a ribbon cutting or whatever, you're right there, aren't you?
Yep.
So,
I've been doing that for about a year.
So tell us about your business, first of all.
Well, I shoot videos and photography, obviously. Where do you want me to start? Like, kind of how it started?
Yeah. Where did your interests get involved with video, and how you have developed the technique? Because you've got a special technique, and I've seen some of your wedding videos and everything, and you make special moments extra special.
Yeah. So in 2018... I kind of started exploring this creative side, and I was making music, like digitally. Mm-hmm. So I was making like beats, and I lived at my mom's house, and that's kind of what I did on the side. And I was going through this time in my life where I was kind of waking up to a lot of things, and just things that I'd been taught. Who taught me? Who taught them? Why am I following these things? Like, what drives my motives to do what I do, as far as like go out and work doing things that I don't enjoy doing. So it was a crazy season of my life, and I ended up taking my stuff really right down the street in front of IGA, those little apartments.
Oh yeah.
A guy reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, you should come over and bring your beat stuff, and we'll just jam out." And his neighbor, he was like a rapper. So we met, and we had this conversation that night that, he was kind of going through the same thing in his life, this like awakening. And so, it was such a powerful conversation. I moved all of my stuff into his house the next day.
The next day?
The next day.
Wow.
And so we started making music together, and he's like, man, I want to put out a visual to every song that we make. I had never had no social media presence. I was kind of bashful about it. And so we made this little video of Drew, the guy that invited us over. He recorded us making music, put it on Facebook, and it was a totally weird experience. But, Drew was going to be our video guy, and he ended up not following through with it. So I started recording my buddy on a cell phone. That's where I got introduced to editing videos. And my mom had a photography business. She was starting up, and I knew that she had an old camera laying around. This is probably 5 months down the road of me living with this guy, sleeping on his floor in the kitchen, and just making music, trying to pursue something different in life. Yeah. So I knew she had a camera, and I'm like, maybe I could get that camera off of her, learn how to take pictures, and make some money doing that. Mm-hmm. So I talked with her. I knew it was a long shot, but she ended up letting me borrow her camera. And I started taking pictures. And then a couple months down the road from that, I started using that as a means to record my buddy. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I'm not going to work. I'm definitely not making any money with the camera. I just learned. We made music and fed our minds. Like, I surfed YouTube, figuring out how people do certain things, how to edit, how to take pictures, how to, do all these things. Then I was introduced to like the gimbal. And the first gimbal I had wasn't electronic. You just set your camera on top of it, had weights at the bottom, but it kept your camera steady. And that took the production up a level. So it was really the first thing in my life where I experienced the fruits of my labor. You know what I mean? The time that I would spend educating myself. The next video that I would shoot or put out, it would be better. Mm-hmm. And that kind of set up a drive to keep doing this. And like the first video that I put effects in, it wasn't just point and shoot and there you go. Like I really started editing, and then to see my dude's reaction to what I made, it just fueled me to find something new, find something better.
Prior to this, what did you see yourself doing? I mean, did you have a plan as a kid through school? Did you, for instance, mine was I wanted to be a band director. Never realized it wasn't going to happen, and stumbled into radio and did that for most of my life.
I would say growing up, not really. I knew I wanted to make money.
Yeah.
And I was just searching for the means of how to do that. Mm-hmm. So it was always find the best factory job. And, I mean, in my life, I sold drugs. You know, we can probably jump back into that, but
that was an easy way to make money, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was I never made more money than it was the easiest, most profitable thing that I could find.
Yeah. So
and I looked for other things. I tried buying low and selling high.
Yeah.
Buying cheap things from China and jewelry and
come on
all
eBay,
kinds
that
of random
kind of thing.
stuff. Facebook, yeah.
And I do want to get into the drug side of things because it is such an alluring side for some kids who have difficulty finding work, who want to make an instant buck that can take care of their problems they see in the moment, and next thing you know, you get caught up into it and it becomes really big. How did you get involved? And now, of course, it's not part of your history. Well, it's part of your history, but it's not part of your today.
Right. Yeah. Praise God. I was heavily influenced by media. Growing up, there was never no drugs or alcohol in my life, but I did have like an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. I didn't really have anybody to lead me to find that. And I was lonely as a child. I was really lonely. So I can remember I was probably 7 years old, and my buddy gave me this gangster rap CD. And I would listen to that every day on the way to school. I couldn't listen to it at home. My parents would have took it from me. But I listened to it, and it sounded like these guys just had it figured out. People knew who they were and all these things. So I wanted to be like them. And the first time I had the opportunity to be like them, I jumped on it. No influence from anyone around me. Broke into my papa's refrigerator at a cookout and filled a glass full of vodka. I went in the bathroom and drank as much as I could.
Oh, my.
And within a 30-minute period, it was like drinking cough syrup. I hated cough syrup, but...
It's a wonder you're alive
Yeah,
to tell the story.
When I felt the effects of that, my addiction started there.
Yeah.
Instantly. My life pursuit was, when am I going to be able to feel that again? And I started looking for ways and building connections and found ways to get my hands on it.
Did it ever lead you to trouble with law enforcement at all?
I had a lot of close encounters, but I never got wrapped up in the law. Yeah. I had a lot of people praying for me. Yeah. I know I had a lot of people praying for me. Yeah. That's my only explanation to how.
What was your turning point? What got you to a point to say, hey, there's more to life than this?
I would say the turning point was when the business started. Not even the business, just having a purpose, serving somebody. When I started making music for this guy and just saw that this could be used, I can do something. Having some sense of a purpose was the beginning of the turnaround for me. Because when I moved in with this guy, I was a full-blown heroin addict. Junkie, garbage junkie. Just the heroin, I'd do anything. I'd binge out on different substances, crack cocaine. But it was the first time in my life I experienced this addiction to heroin that had such a grip on me. And through the things that we were doing and kind of the separation from the people that I was running around with, and now I'm living with this guy, and he smokes marijuana, but he didn't even know that I used drugs like that. I was able to break free from it, just from the heroin. I started smoking a lot of weed.
Is that right?
But I got
so you
to
went in reverse order.
Yeah. I got to the place where it's like, this is really taken away from this opportunity before me, and it's limited me. And it's like, I was at a place where I just didn't want it. I didn't want any of it. And I broke free from, kind of went in this just little place of solitude. I broke free from every relationship I'd ever been in, my family, my friends, and the things that me and this guy were doing every day. You know, we just seek to learn. So we listen to a lot of people on the internet talking about life and the mind and just what's possible, and habits, things of that nature. And yeah, I got off the drugs, the narcotics, for a long stretch of time. I'll just go ahead and move forward a little bit with that. I stayed with this guy for like 7 months, and towards the end of my staying there, when I started kind of doing work for other people, it caused confliction in our relationship. And one of these guys I went to school with, he's like, man, can you make a video of my truck? And I had only shot music videos leading up to this, and I'm like, I guess. So I made a video of his truck, and he loved it. And then a couple of my other buddies saw that, and they asked me to come with them fishing. And that was when I got that gimbal, and I'm like, well, this would be a good time to try this gimbal out. So I made a video of them fishing, and up until this time, my videos would get a couple hundred views. I made this fishing video, and like 25,000 people saw it.
Wow.
So in my world, I'm like blowing up. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But that opened a lot of doors. So I think the next weekend, I filmed a demolition derby. So now I'm like, I made like $75 doing that. And everything that I did from that moment on opened up another door. Somebody would see it, reach out to me, and I would have a new project to do. So I ended up leaving this guy's house, and you know, I'm still smoking the marijuana, but I'm in a place in my life where I realized, like, this is causing a hindrance. Like, if I could break free from this, I think I could really move forward with this stuff. And the teachings that we were listening to over his house was very like new school self-righteousness. Like, I can manifest my own reality. It didn't have nothing to do with Jesus Christ. The things that I habitually think about determine what I experience in my life. So I dove really deep into that, and I'm doing all these rituals like meditation and, you know, forced thinking and affirmations and all these things, thinking that I'm going to manifest this reality. But the reality I was seeking to manifest was totally for me. It was selfish. It didn't serve anybody but myself. You know, I wanted the big house and the nice cars and, you know, this or that. And so I started teaching this stuff on the internet, everything that I was learning. And I was in a place in my life where I thought I had found something greater than what I was raised in. I was raised in the church. I was blessed to see salvation happen in my parents' life at probably 12 years old and see the change in their heart. So I knew Jesus, but I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know Jesus. Yeah. And so it was almost as if I believed that I found something greater, and that people who followed the Bible were brainwashed, and the Bible was written by the government. Like, I was that guy. And I'd pushed Jesus so far out of my life that I would almost cringe when people would talk about it, and I would seek to prove you wrong. And so when I started teaching these things, that lasted for like a week. And, you know, I was having people, I would go to restaurants and people would come up and shake my hand and say, man, I really like what you're doing, and never heard it taught that way. So it was influencing people. And I had stopped smoking the weed for about 3 months. So I was completely free from narcotics for a little over a year, and sober. Well, this storm brewed up in my life, man, this perfect storm. And I believe Christ came and brought it to me. You know, we hear the parable that he leaves the 99 to find the one. And I feel like everybody's like, I'm the one.
Yeah.
You know, this guy, youth pastor at Open Door, he told me, he said, you know, whenever the shepherd leaves the 99 to find the lost sheep, like in real life, it's not just a lost sheep wandering around. It's the sheep that was a part of the herd that kept wandering away. Mm-hmm. And the shepherd will break its legs so that it will be dependent upon the shepherd. And whenever it heals, it will never flee the flock again. Mm-hmm. And I had multiple encounters throughout my 14 years of addiction with Jesus, where my life would come to ruins. And that was the only thing that I knew, the only thing that I had left to try. And I'd experienced the delivering power of calling out to Christ. And so this storm, man, you know, here I am high up on this mountain thinking I got it figured out and I've overcome. I met this girl, and it was never about a relationship or any feelings towards her like that. It was just, I think I craved the presence of a female because I had separated from women completely. Up until my wife, I hadn't even really, you know, I had no affection with a woman for 4 years. Just on this journey that I was on of finding myself and focusing on that. So she was a raver, and she's like, I got us tickets to this rave. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. Like, I'm going to go dance, and I'm going to do this sober. And, you know, I found myself at this apartment with 2 of my other dudes, and there's like 15 chicks just in their rave outfits, if you can imagine. And I think within 15 minutes of being there, I had took shots of tequila. I was snorting cocaine. I snorted ketamine and was huffing nitrous oxide. And went just crazy at this rave. And for some reason, that cocaine really stuck with me. And I found myself, after the night was over, I was trying to find it. And then a couple of days later, I was seeking it. I started doing it like here, there, through the week. And it probably about 2 weeks into that, I got a substantial amount of it to last me, you know, days on days. And that's when I realized, I'm like, this is bad. Because here I am at a point where this video thing is kind of taken off to a place where it can sustain me. And I got business coming in and people reaching out to me. And I reached out to a guy that I knew that might be able to help me. I'm like, man, I messed up. I think I need to come stay with you for a couple weeks if I could do that. And he wasn't in a position to have me over there. And I shot through the stratosphere. Like, I craved this stuff more than you would crave a cigarette when you wake up as a smoker. And I was in a place where I had money coming in, and I had a connection where I could get it next to nothing. And I did it every day. And I'm kind of an extremist. It was the first time I ever experienced such a hold, because earlier in my addiction, you know, the course of my addiction, like I said, I would binge on things. So I never really got bound by a certain substance. I would binge on this, and I would use this to get off of it and just keep rotating. I didn't want to do drugs. I was in a place where it's like, I thought I'd overcome this, and this is going to destroy everything that I've acquired. And I knew that. And it was the first time in my life I experienced Jesus coming after me. Here I was in a place where I had pushed him out of my life, and I didn't want to hear from him. I didn't want to think about it. But I experienced him coming after me in a way that it just captivated my mind. And I could hear him saying, you know, I'm here. And
it captivated your heart.
Yeah.
As well.
I couldn't escape it.
Yeah.
And I knew. And I began to, you know, cry out to him. And there was a moment that he revealed his love for me. And I remember feeling so sorry for denying that love for so long. And I just wept. I wept that night. I wept so deeply. I'll never forget it. It was like his presence just filled the room. And even though I'm facing so much affliction and my life is coming to ruins and I can't escape this beast, he comforted me. And that's what started this journey with him. I would wake up and get this substance and I would just leave. I would go into the wilderness and I would pray and pray until 2, 3 in the morning. I wasn't getting this substance and going out and partying or having a good time. It was like the Lord was leading me on such a journey of reflection that I had never experienced in my life. He took me clear back to the first time I was afraid, what that had done to me and how I'd been carrying certain things my whole life. Helped me to work through pains that was in my heart and find forgiveness for people. And I remember one instance, I was in the middle of a field and I'm just crying out like, why won't you deliver me from this? I know that you can, because he had done it before. And he just said, why would I deliver you? So you can go back to living your life without me? And so he used this to change my heart, because had he had delivered me in the moments I was crying out, I would have ran away from him, because I was only seeking to be freed from my afflictions. I wasn't seeking to turn my life around and serve him. And so this lasted 90 days. And, I could talk for hours about the processes that he led me through and the things that he helped my mind to realize. But at the end of it, I laid my life down. It was the first time in my life that I truly understood what it meant to surrender and to seek the will of Christ over my own will. Before it was just, stop doing this or stop doing that and live righteously and I'm okay. And it's so much more than that. It's to truly seek and serve a will and understanding greater than my own. And when I understood that, Christ delivered me again, but this time he delivered me from so much more than the drugs. It was, the porn and masturbation, the things that I'm just thankful. Looking back,
All those things that we regret in life, he wipes it away as if it's a dry erase board and gives us a chance to start all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it the coolest thing?
It is. And it was, I'm trying to talk here. It just birthed a whole new life.
Yeah.
A whole new meaning to life, a whole new journey. And he's been with me every step. It's been 18 months ago. Or no, longer than that.
Yeah.
It's been May, June, July, August. 25 months ago.
How about that?
And it's, he's never left me. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's like, man, looking back over these last 25 months, I really can't remember having a bad day. Like, my worst day in the last 25 months with Jesus far outshines the best day that I ever had without him.
Amen to that. Yeah.
And it's been the most, prosperous time of my life, mentally and physically. The forms of relationships, just everything.
You truly tried everything else.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest challenges for us is the act of submission. When you finally submit and sell out to him, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you can take different walks. Everything looks different. Our pastor talks about when he got saved. It was, and he has a troubled past as well. But that day that he gave everything up, the clouds looked different. Everything tasted different. Everything was completely fresh, and that's an experience that I think many people need to have.
Yeah.
So, how have you used this now? You've got Dray Day Ministries.
Yeah.
How can people learn more about what you do there?
Well, I'll give the little, backstory how that started. So I was posting my work and stuff on TikTok. I got fresh into TikTok, and that was exciting to have a platform to post these videos that I'd been making. And mind you, over the course of the 2 years I'd been doing videography as a living, I had a lot of stuff. I had a lot of diverse stuff that, wasn't trendy. I spent a lot of time making, and I would post it on these social medias, and it would never get any buzz, Things that I did in my power. Spent a lot of time making. So when the Lord delivered me, it was like instantly, almost the next day, he said, "Tell the world what I've done for you." And he started putting visions in my mind, in my heart, of things to say and things to make. And when I would be obedient to those things, I think the first video I made was Jesus delivered me from drug addiction, porn and masturbation. He took a broken mess and breathed life into my bones.
Yeah.
And then it was, I can testify. Mm-hmm. That little couple sentences. And I was terrified. I was terrified to do that because, I was like a closet junkie. Mm-hmm. Like, here I am about to tell the world something the world didn't even know I struggled with. And I wrestled with it. And finally, I don't even think I had pajamas on and a T-shirt. I grabbed a chair from my kitchen, put it in the back bedroom of my grandma's house. I set my camera up, and I did it. And I put it on TikTok, and the next morning I woke up, and 1.8 million people saw that video.
Holy cow.
And I was just like, wow. And the comments that was in these videos, people saying like they got cold chills. And I'm just like, wow. And that started this journey of seeking the Lord, to be used by him. And that journey hasn't stopped. And sometimes the enemy comes in between it and tries to distract me, but the Lord never fails to put me back on that path. It's been such a learning experience, especially whenever I started getting, the buzz of, the Lord used it to help me shed pride in my heart, expose pride in my heart, to keep me remained humble, and to understand like this is never about me. It's never about anything other than shining the light of the gospel that he's put inside of me for a lost soul to see and find it for themselves.
A true priority change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's shifted it to a place in my life where I seek to do that above everything else. To only use the talents of that I've developed over the years for that purpose.
Yeah. Because
it's kind of a tear in the road. It's like when I get busy over here, then this suffers. When I get busy over here, then this suffers. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I'm moving into a season where the Lord is directing my paths to be in a position to only do the videos for ministry, which would allow me to really pour into it and maximize my reach with that.
Yeah, I know Mike Smith, and I don't think I'm giving any secrets away here. Mike Smith is a mentor with Another Chance Ministries, and I know that you've done a lot of things with the guys in ACM. And through my friend Troy Gray and what the Lord has led him to do, you're the right person at the right place at the right time, I think, in this whole opioid crisis that has hit our community and many other communities. Do you feel any connection there? Do you feel like, man, God has put me where I need to be?
Absolutely. Because there's been a lot of times in my life where I tried to escape where God has put me. And looking back, I can see how his hand has kept me here and guided me and prepared me for, such a time as this. And the more that I can let go of what I understand as far as what would be good for me or what I could do, and I just do what's on my plate, then it becomes clear to me that I'm in the right place. And that's something that the Lord has spoken this whole journey. It's like, stop looking at the buffet. do what's on your plate, because the food on your plate's going to get cold, and you're not going to want to do it. Yeah. But until you finish what's on your plate, you're not going to get another serving. And I've experienced that so much throughout my business and my ministry. Like, I remember one time I went to Circleville, and I went to every business in Circleville and told them who I was, showed them my work. This is what I can do. Didn't get a single phone call. But it's like when I did what was on my plate, that little project that I didn't think anybody was going to pay attention to, that opened a door, that opened up a door, that opened up a door.
God's got more than Circleville for you. I got the whole world in my hands here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really glad that I asked you to come in and talk about this, because it's stuff that people need to hear. And like you said, all those comments you were seeing in the TikTok, some people can't talk about it that's inside them until they hear somebody else talk about it.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to come forth with it.
Yeah. It's been, I couldn't tell you how many people have commented and shared, like, what you spoke changed my life or saved my life. Yeah. People saying that, like, I was ready to kill myself until I heard this. Mm-hmm. And me knowing where I heard it, just all praise to God. Yeah. Because I literally go out to nature. I still go to nature, and I just pray and I ask and I listen. Sometimes I get guidance for my life. Sometimes I get a word. And when I get these words, I'm obedient to it. And then I see the result of the Lord working through my obedience.
Yeah. You mentioned to us beforehand, you finally reunited with your grandfather.
Yeah.
And so now you're seeing a lot of things come to you that maybe you didn't expect.
Yeah. I still don't really know my grandfather. I only met him for maybe 30 minutes at a cookout. But that's never been something I longed for, I guess. Mm-hmm. In my life, it's cool. Like, I'm happy for my dad because I know that he longed for it in his life. And I'm glad that relationship is, they talk all the time. Mm-hmm. Every time I go over there, he's like, oh, just talking to Dad. I'm like,
that's great.
Sounds weird, but I love it.
Sometimes our journeys help other journeys that we don't even realize that needed help. And they're all intertwined in some fashion, I think.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. You recently got married.
I did.
And I know that, and I saw one of her videos the other day. She was going through a tough stretch in life, and you have these things. Every once in a while you have to talk about things. And she had like this 5-minute video, and I got so blessed watching it, just seeing her place this out into the public to encourage others that might be going through the same thing. What a great medium we have and able to do that so that others can see it.
Yeah.
And that's great news. I'm happy for you this year. Married now, and who knows what the future holds for you.
Yeah.
So,
her and her daughter are probably the biggest blessing in my life.
Yeah. So you've got an instant family right now then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's 14.
Papa Dray. It's hard enough taking on a baby, taking on a teenager, and starting off, you're jumping right into the frying pan.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything that we've missed you wanted to make sure people knew?
Nothing that comes to my mind.
Just keep an eye out on the horizon for what the next Dray Day event's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that, if you haven't had that encounter with Christ, to test and see the promises are true. I mean, you literally have nothing to lose. Coming from a guy who tried everything in his power to find another way and to prove everyone who'd been preaching this thing that I've heard my whole life wrong. It's the greatest thing I've ever known. It's the freest, fullest thing that I've ever known. It's something that my heart longed for my whole life, that I spent my whole life trying to find what it was longing for and fill it with the world that couldn't come close to scratching the surface of what Christ has put inside of me. And if you have found Christ, keep going, keep searching, seek to get closer. That's one thing that I know for sure in this walk, that we can draw near and fall back. And I believe that signs, wonders, and miracles follow the closeness of truly surrendering our time to take up the Father's will and seek to know the Father's will and be obedient to that. That's something we can never stop pursuing, and you will see the fruits of your labor by doing so.
Yeah. You're seeing God's work at hand right here. This is God's handiwork in what He's done with your life.
I use the foolish things to conform to wise. Here I am.
Yeah, well, I tell you, sometimes we have to be broken before the healing can start, and a brand new life. You can look through all the New Testament and see all the stories and people who interacted with Christ and how they had to just be rock bottom before they could start back off again. And you're a testament to that spiritually, but also a testament to those who might be addicted, that you can overcome this. Not on your own. You need some assistance, and you can't have a bigger hand than God's hand.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Dan.
Love you, Ben.
Love you too.
Dray Stewart. Check his stuff out. I've got the scroller here where you can find him on Instagram and on Facebook as well. And we'll be back in just a moment with today's edition of Litter Media Live. Thanks again for stopping by.